podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Well, I mean, I know everyone's mad, Ed, because we didn't beat the Gooners, the Arsenal, North London's finest, or whatever.
Well, given how Spurs are playing these days, probably,
Currently, after this, in like 3 minutes, I haven't looked at the league table, but I would imagine Arsenal are now above them. It was all right. I mean, it was very frustrating and annoying, but I wonder how much of that frustration and annoyance was based on the fact that it came off the back of Sheffield United and we really needed a win to re-kickstart #21 in 21.
That's right. I think it's an opportunity missed. Rather than there was some extreme reaction online, as there always is, but quite a number of people like asking for Ollie to be sacked or something after a couple of draws and a loss in the last 3 games.
Those people just want him to be sacked.
Yeah.
There's a band of... I mean, you know, I told you we got a message on Instagram after the City semi-final while we were top of the league or second with a game in hand to go top of the league, saying that this is why he should be sacked. He got his substitutions wrong. It's like if you sack a manager for getting substitutions wrong, Fergie would have been sacked 300 times in the last 5 years of his managerial career, you know.
Yeah, so look, this was a game in which United really could have won. 14 shots, not too many great chances in that. Edinson Cavan-oh from about 6 yards out, obviously, he would score that. Well, XG says 62% of the time, but it's Edinson Cavan-oh, so I'm thinking it's about 99-point-something% of the time. Under a bit of pressure, but still. And then the one late in the game where the XG is probably overrating the quality of the chance because it's come from behind him, but it's still pretty close, and there's him and Martial going for the same ball. But generally, I think United created more. They were livelier. Arsenal, a few shots, but nothing a note at all. I don't think United were ever really under real pressure in this game. And it's one of those you come away going, especially after the Sheffield United game, that it's pretty disappointing not to have won that. But it's all in the details.
Yeah, I mean, there were periods of time where Arsenal were kind of looking like they might put consistent pressure together, but they never really turned into any meaningfully good chance. There were a couple from Pepe, both of which, you know, did not actually result in good chances. It should be said that this is an Arsenal that didn't have Saka or Aubameyang, but nonetheless, I thought United did a pretty good job for the most part of containing them. There was a couple of bright passages where Emile Smith-Rowe looked like he might have some impact on the game. He's a fine young player, that kid. But the overall feeling was definitely, if we could have won the Liverpool game, this one didn't quite hit the heights of we should have won this game.
No.
But it kind of was much closer on the spectrum to should have won this game. The Cavani chances, the first one is a bad miss. The second one, I saw some people say should get out of the way for Martial. But if you watch that again from the reverse angle, the contortions that he would have had to go through to get out of the way for Martial would have made it a very difficult chance for anyone coming in behind him. And anyway, there's not really... It would be ridiculous to expect him to know and be able to execute on getting out of the way there.
He should have Mkhitaryan that into the top corner. That's what he should have done.
He should. The a bit low to scorpion kick. I don't know how you do like an outside of the boot scorpion kick rather than the back of the boot. Stay on your feet and wait for the ball to cross you, and then move your left foot out and try and hit it with the kind of heel of the side of the underside of your left foot.
This is something that is in the Kama Sutra, I think. This is I don't know where his leg is and where.
It's kind of like the Pogba one, not the most recent Pogba one, but the one before, where his leg's at kind of a funny angle when he hits the one from the outside of the box. That, but on his left foot. The other big moment, I guess, was the Rashford one where the ball comes to him it kind of crosses all the defence and he has it. And if he hits it first time, then he's got a pretty big opportunity because he's about 2 yards out. Maybe it was difficult. I mean, it's always difficult to hit a ball first time, but it also might have been difficult with the goalkeeper's positioning to even think that he would have scored had he hit it first time. But once he pulled it down and tried to kind of cut it back and turn it around, he was kind of swamped by Arsenal defenders, and that chance went begging.
And Arsenal, well, look, yes, Saka's a miss because he's been in good form. He's a good young player, can play in a variety of positions, does play in a variety of positions. Aubameyang, well, he's been in and out because he's been injured quite a bit this season. He scored one Premier League goal. And even without the injury, there was this sort of debate about where he's going to play in this Arsenal side. He's kind of been shunted to the left, but doesn't necessarily want to play there. So he signed that new contract, didn't he? But he's not really justifying it just yet.
No, not even slightly. It's classic Arsenal. Finally get their man to sign a new contract, and then he falls off a cliff and it all goes horribly wrong. And a couple of years later, their crowdfunding is moved to Turkey. Talking
to signing players up to really long contracts, which are a complete waste of time. We'd never do that, would we?
Hashtag Jones 2023 or whatever it is. I was going to play a game of this or that earlier because I was watching Leeds Leicester and I was like, Johnny Evans is definitely better than Victor Lindelof, right? Definitely. Where do you stand on Evans versus Lindelof? Who would you have in the first team?
Yeah, well, probably Evans, but there's not much in it. There's nothing. There's nothing you could say that Victor Lindelof is a £30 million player versus Evans we let go on a free or very low fee to West Brom.
Yeah.
So yes, again, United haven't covered themselves in glory when it comes to transfers over the last several years.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the defence looked a bit ropey a few times, as it always does, but they did fundamentally do their job. I don't believe De Gea had to make any exceptional saves, and anyway, even if he did, they were from low percentage chances. So fair enough. What was the problem with that game then? I guess there was some sloppiness. Fernandes was particularly ineffective, as he sometimes is in big games. Somebody made a really good point to me the other day, which is the games that we should rest Bruno for are the big games. And play Bruno against the bottom 2/3 of everyone in the league and burn him out doing that. And then go, oh, big man, you need a rest against We'll play Van der Beek against Arsenal. And
I think that's the setup, though, rather than Bruno necessarily. In these, I mean, particularly this season, the goal against Tottenham is our only goal against the big six. I mean, scored twice against Leicester, of course, who are significantly higher in the table than Arsenal. But that's kind of worrying, isn't it? That the trade-off is always still being made in these games that Solskjaer doesn't trust his defence. I assume it's this, right? He doesn't trust his defence. He wants them to sit in a bit of a low block, especially when Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire and the pair in there. And then he plays McFred in front of them. And then it feels like it's one creative player too few, or we're in a too low a block, or it's a bit of both. And I know United have done well away from home, but it's not quite the same thing, I don't think. And it just felt like one of those games where the starting position was quite deep and weren't quite able to get the kind of breaks going in the way that we know they can. I mean, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes were both pretty heavily critical of United's goals, talking about Fernandes, actually, and saying because he hasn't scored or created an assist against any of the big teams, that this is a bit of a failing. And Roy Keane saying it's the winning mentality that's missing. This team doesn't believe they can win the league, which they might not, because how many of them have won the league in this squad? Not many.
Yeah. And I think, he said they're scared to admit they're in a title race, basically scared to believe they can win the league. And I don't think he's wrong about that, but I don't necessarily think it should be a point of criticism. I feel like it should be almost seen as a point of education, a point of like, this is the thing that needs to be addressed. I'll tell you who is not scared of being in a title race. It's Bruno Fernandes. He is clearly not going to be cowed by the idea that United could win things, unless he's just talking a good game, which I don't think is the case. Oh no, Arsenal are still somehow 4 places behind Tottenham in the league, which shows just how badly they've been doing in the early part of the season anyway. So I think that they need, as a collective, they need to be encouraged to believe in themselves. This is the number one priority from a kind of psychological perspective, I'd say. But that's very difficult when they're playing as much as they're playing, because the results are going to affect you. And I wonder if there was some hangover from the Sheffield United game in this one. McTominay and Fred started, as you said. It was like nailed on that McFred would start. I think everybody agreed with that. He did go with Pogba on the left, Rashford on the right, and Cavani through the middle. But Scott McTominay's tummy did not allow that to be the case.
Oh, I'd almost forgotten about that. That was that could have been deeply unpleasant.
It was like 25 minutes in when it started. And he was like trying to get to half time. Like, no one's ever made it 20 minutes in that situation. If you're doubled over with cramps, you do not have 20 minutes.
Alex Ferguson once got away with doing a ton on the motorway because he had the shits. You remember that one?
Yeah, I did not until you mentioned it. He came off. And Solskjaer went bold.
Yeah,
he put Martial on, which I think was the right move. And actually, I didn't think Martial played that badly. Like, I thought he looked a bit brighter. He was connecting the play quite well, which he was doing a lot of the season, but hasn't been doing recently. I don't know. Everyone just hates him now, so whatever.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was projection. So look, he wasn't that bad. It wasn't that effective. So, but nowhere near the treading water that we saw against Sheffield United, where it was just obvious that he needed to be hauled off. He was trying, but ineffectively for the most part, I think.
Yeah, and then, hey, guess what? The rest of the game-changing substitutions were left too late. 10 minutes for Mason Greenwood. Why?
And none for Donny van der, never going to see a football game ever again.
Yeah, it's very upsetting, the Van der Beek situation under circumstances like this. But I just don't know why he didn't try to give Greenwood 20 minutes. And I think this is the curse of, in a way, it's the curse of match winners. So, like, I mean, I make this point all the time, right? But one of the reasons it was so frustrating to kind of be watching your TV and going, get Rooney off, what are you doing? Is every single one of us collectively knew that if the stars suddenly aligned, he could definitely suddenly chip the keeper from the halfway line and win the game. And Rashford is definitely in this position. He's playing terribly, but he can win the game if it turns. Cavani, I think maybe you could say, but given his age, you could take him off. But when you really need a goal, do you just want to swap Cavani out? I don't think it's that straightforward. Bruno, again, a player that you don't want to take off even when he's not playing great. So you have this across the board, which means you're having to make quite a bold move to bring Greenwood on early. You've got to take off one of your potential match winners. So I don't know what the balance is. I don't think it's just an easy fix, that really.
No, and that's part of United's problem, or one that has to be solved through sort of evolution of the team anyway, isn't it? It still feels at times, and in games like this, more than in some games this season, that this is a collection of brilliant individuals who can solve a problem through individual brilliance at any moment, rather than a consistent team that produces a consistent pattern of play that creates chances through the function of that strategy, right? So there's periods in that game where they played very nicely, but also periods where it was very stoic. I mean, they had a lot of possession, they put a lot of passes together, and a lot of it was not super effective. It was better than it was against Sheffield United when they had like 900 passes and didn't go anywhere with it. And this is just and I think it would be a bit churlish of us to say, well, we should definitely have that. Now, managers can instill a pattern of play much quicker. Solskjaer went for a counter-attacking low block style at first, and he's been evolving that. And United can play in more than one way at the moment. There just is, when they're not playing that well, a bit of reversion to the mean, a little bit, I think. Now, the challenge for Solskjaer is to be able to evolve this team so it's front foot forward most of the time, and front foot forward in those big games, like Liverpool in the FA Cup, but so rarely against the bigger teams this season.
But this game was front foot forward for the most part, wasn't it? Like, certainly the second half, I mean, this is a bit impressionistic, but there was a lot of the second half where it felt like United were pushing and pushing and pushing. Worth saying, the two big chances both created by the fullbacks, who were such an important part of the attacking unit. And Luke Shaw, we've talked a lot about his kind of growing positive impact in attacking play. And I would say that Wan-Bissaka is... I mean, I don't want to speak too soon about this, but he was better in this game, mate, and I feel like he's been on a little bit of a more positive trajectory after a very ropey most of the season. It was a decent performance from him, a couple of important tackles, and maybe we're seeing him kick out of a kind of rough period of form. That would be very helpful.
He got forward quite a bit as well. I'm not sure he did loads from an attacking sense.
He created it's his cross for the second Cavani one.
Right.
So
booked for a pretty scything challenge, but mostly defensively okay. I mean, his problem has tended to be he's just way out of position too often and doesn't appear to be reading the game. And if he's finding that mojo or they're coaching him to get in the right place at the right time more often, then we need that. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, kind of desperately rack my brain for other interesting talking points about this 0-0 draw with Arsenal, and mostly what my brain is telling me is Amad Diallo's Panenka was nice.
Yes. I mean, that was the highlight of the weekend, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It's got some stones on him to do that in your, albeit under 23.
They were 5-2 up at the time.
They were 5-2 up. It's an under 23 game.
Yeah, I'm not sure that takes any meaningful form of bravado.
Well, just a little bit. And the first time you appear in your new club's shirt, and you missed that.
He'd already scored. They were 5-2 up. I think if he'd got on his knees and headed the penalty, it would have been fine.
Well, if he'd gotten on his knees and headed the penalty or missed the Panenka, a lot of people would say, maybe he needs to. It's a bit childish, wasn't it? He needs to grow up a little bit.
Possibly so, yeah. His first goal, for anyone that has not seen this goal, was a bunch of pressure applied to. I mean, Liverpool's actual under 23 centre-backs are currently their actual centre-backs, or at least substitute centre-backs. So goodness knows what level the current Liverpool under-23 team is playing at. But anyway, he there was some pressure and he stole the ball off him, and it was a nice finish. Joe Hugill, a name I wasn't particularly familiar with, I have to say, because I don't follow the youth set up that closely. But it is a name that's bubbling to the surface for sure, and his current run of form is remarkably impressive. Apparently he was very good in this one as well.
Yeah, always good to beat Liverpool at any level.
Yeah. And United's women beat Everton 2-0. This was another good result. They're still second in the league.
Important victory.
See any of this, though.
Yeah, important victory. Chelsea got a big win against Spurs. in the Women's Super League. Beat Birmingham last weekend, which was important after losing to Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. So, in touch, played the game more. It's still a long shot, and at least for the title, that is. And a little more so because Tobin Heath has an injury, and she's probably been the best player for United this season, certainly most sort of threatening forward. And she's going to miss 12 weeks, which is most of the season because it's not a particularly long season. So that is a blow. Yeah.
And as for the men's senior side, listen, 3 wins on the bounce now against Southampton and Everton and whoever we're playing after West Ham. The schedule's got all muddled up, hasn't it? Because they've moved games around because of the game against West Ham. So I've lost track a little bit, but definitely if we get 6 points from Southampton and Everton, there'll be lovely positive conversations, particularly if City drop points against Liverpool next weekend. Liverpool coming back into some sort of form. This isn't a complete nightmare scenario by any stretch of the imagination. I think we are second in the league still because Leicester lost today. So
yep.
and we're second in the league above Liverpool. Nobody would have thought that there was any chance that would be the case by the 31st of January at the beginning of the season. This season is going way, way, way better than expected. And certainly a top 4 place, which was the realistic expectation for this season, a more comfortable top 4 finish, isn't nailed on because a lot of wheels could come off very quickly. But it's looking much, much, much more likely than I think a lot of people would have feared. And, the end of last season, I said that last season was almost the perfect transition season, but it was very difficult to imagine that it would grow into something next season because the board won't back Solskjaer properly in the summer. They didn't, but nonetheless, we have taken some significant steps forward between last season and this, I think.
Yeah, no, true. And it's a special season as well, which is helping, I guess, the inconsistency of everybody in the league. The one thing I'd say is that if United don't go on to win the league, which I would still say is a very high percentage chance that United will not win the league, we might look back on it as an opportunity missed because it is not a guarantee that United then kick on again because the season won't look the same next season. I mean, it's still going to be pretty difficult with the World Cup and everything, but it might not be an inconsistent Manchester City. It might not be an inconsistent Liverpool. So, it's not a guarantee that we'll get better again next year, at least in terms of league position. But still, second, something like 7 points ahead of 5th place. So it's looking good from that perspective at the moment. And you're right. Win these next few games, and we'll forget the Sheffield United result. Hopefully, I mean certainly. It's Southampton-Everton really important. They moved the Everton game to the Saturday, which is good because it was going to be about 3 minutes between the Everton game and the West Ham game. So West Ham's going to be on the Tuesday night now in the Cup. There'll still be a lot of changes for that one, I'm sure. And then it's West Brom after that, and West Brom are conceding goals at an absolutely frightening rate at the moment for them. Anyway, so you'd imagine that'll be an opportunity. So it's, And Everton lost to Newcastle this weekend. So
yeah. And listen, you're right. Of course, that it's a strange season, and we all know it's a strange season. But after 21 games last season, it's not like we had the same number of points and everyone else had a lot less. We had 10 fewer points.
Sure,
we didn't have as many points as we've got now by the 31st of January last season when we played 3 more games. We still had 34 points. We've got 41 now. So, it's things are clearly brighter. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not sure that anyone in their right mind would be looking back and going, oh, it was a missed opportunity for us to go from kind of a miracle run in a post-pandemic weirdo universe that dragged us into the top 3 whilst other teams literally did collapse around us. We didn't go from that to winning the league against a Man City team who are kind of have refound their mojo under Pep Guardiola. Like, I don't think that many people are going to go, if only we'd put more pressure on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always been a long shot. So
yeah. City winning 7 on the bounce put some perspective on things. Anyway. So
and they they weren't that good this weekend, City. So it's not like they can't have another wobble. Of course, we can also have plenty of wobbles, as we know. But anyway. And at least Jose Mourinho's Tottenham aren't going to win the league, which did look briefly like it was possible in November. But it turns out actually he's a useless, washed-up mess. So
I am quite enjoying. Not that I've seen any pundits eat humble pie, but in my own mind, they should be, because for about a 2-week period, maybe not even that long, they were, Jose is back, we told you so, he should never have been sacked by United, all the Mourinho stands were out. How's it looking, guys?
How's the view from down there? Well, how's the view from your own 18-yard box, where you're relentlessly camped, being entirely reliant on the quality of 2 players, 2 very good players, but nonetheless. Right, should we take a break and then come back and, I don't know, preview the Southampton game?
Yeah, we should do that. 0.44 XG for Spurs at Brighton today.
Enjoyable.
All right, see you in a bit.
If you want more from the show in between shows, check us out on the socials. We are NQAT Pod on Instagram, Ed's at NQAT Pod on Twitter, and we are under our real names on Facebook at No Question About That. Before we carry on to talk about Southampton, I mean, we just flash back to, just rewind and listen to exactly what we said on the podcast last time. This time it was Marcus Rashford having to talk on social media about the racial abuse that he's received. It's very, very hard to take, and it's not happening to us. So
no,
what it must be like when it's there's a lot of there's this thing that happens. There's a big trope about tone policing, about response. And I just want to make it very clear that that's not what I'm doing. I'm not saying, class response, clap, clap, clap kind of thing. But it did bring a tear to my eye. His choice of words brought a tear to my eye.
Sure. It's a very dignified response. Now, I'm not saying that because I think he'd be perfectly justified in telling them all to go f*** themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like... I don't think either of us are saying for a second he's doing what he should do, or isn't it good that it's a dignified response? But I don't know how you can look at that and go dignity is the word that is just oozing out of that response. It is a response that is a dignified response. Is almost like not doing it enough justice, the level of dignity that it embodies. So yeah, that was my feeling reading his tweets about that, as well as the relentless heartbreak about the fact that this stuff is happening.
Yes, and we have to talk about it every week, literally,
and we're not going to stop, because I don't know why you would, because you can't because it's happening, so you can't pretend it's not happening. I feel like football as a collective pretended that racism stopped at some point, and it didn't.
Sepp Blatter, then FIFA president, said it had stopped.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's an idiot, so there is that.
Oh, no. I mean, there cannot be a more perfect embodiment of knowing when racism has stopped than a 90-year-old Swiss bloke.
Yeah, absolutely. It never went anywhere. And at the moment, it's seriously, these people feel very empowered, and we've talked about that ad nauseum on this show about why these people feel empowered to do what they do. Because there's a avowed racist who's the Prime Minister of Britain. I mean, we talked a lot about, I mean, obviously there's someone who repeatedly refused to condemn the philosophical concept of white supremacy has just left the White House. But in Britain, if you look at Boris Johnson's racist history, it's just relentless. I mean, the man is just a racist. So, let me put that in language that is provable. He has repeatedly said things which are extremely racist.
Sure.
So, Anyway.
Yes, I think there is we're getting onto politics here, but there is a slight difference in that Boris Johnson has no real, he commands a vote across multiple income and education, ethnic, demographic and education. Sorry, I said education and class groupings, but not to quite the same extent that Trump does. He's not as good a populist. He's still a Oldetonian racist. Different anyway. But you're saying the man at the top has empowered people to feel a certain way and to act out on it. For sure.
Yeah. Just the lack of consequences. Anyway. Southampton, away? Home?
I think it's away.
Well, that's good. Because United are still unbeaten away from home.
No, I lied. It's at home.
Okay. Oh, well, never mind. It might be all right. It shouldn't.
Probably not.
It literally shouldn't make any difference, should it? Southampton are struggling. No two ways about it. I mean, we talked a little bit, and we'll talk, I guess, more about this on the backers content, but they lost to Aston Villa yesterday, and that was a profoundly undeserved loss, it has to be said. Not only in the sort of general sense of they created way more and better chances, which they did, but not that you, in the end, if you don't take your chances, too bad. You probably deserved to lose. They was robbed. Proper nerd VAR, just disgusting. Seeing the ball in the freeze frame for this offside goal, and the ball is 3 frames wide. The ball is clearly supposed to be a still shot, but the ball is wider than a rugby ball in the shot. Much wider than a rugby ball. It's 3 balls width in on the freeze frame, with that kind of half see-through like you get if you close one eye. It's absolutely ridiculous to believe that this technology is up to the task of working out where the exact point of sleeve versus backside that this debate raged around. It was just, there's just no other words for it, Ed, right? But game's gone. The game's gone.
Dear.
It's gone. The game's gone.
Yes, they were very good at times in this game, Southampton. Unlike their game against Arsenal last week, where they were pretty bad, and against Leicester the week before, where they were also pretty bad. I think they beat Liverpool before, didn't they, outside of the Cup. So, yes, unlucky. Maybe they got a bit of mojo back. I don't know. We'll see. Aston Villa do set up in a certain way, though. They are pretty good. They've become a team that plays even more on the break than they did when they were struggling last season, because they've got the tools to do it, and they caused Southampton some problems with their ability to break. Southampton pressed high, all energy, create some chances, and it'll be interesting to see sort of their approach. We know their approach is the kind of style United do struggle against and have struggled against. Not always. Obliterated Leeds, of course. I'm not sure Southampton will be quite as kamikaze in the way they play as Leeds were. Yeah. And one of the reasons we struggle in games at home, even if fans aren't there, and there are more away victories in the Premier League than home victories this season, even if the fans aren't there, and it shouldn't make any kind of difference, is that with Maguire and Lindelof, we cannot play a high line. Just can't. It's impossible, because the danger of the ball over the top is just so much. It's just or as we found out against Sheffield United a play getting caught on a half turn, as Lindelof was in that one. Yeah, and it happens so often with these two that clearly the opposition are going to target it. It wouldn't half help us if Eric Bailly was fit and able to play. I don't expect it because Solskjaer turns to Lindelof 80% of the time when he's fit, 90% of the time when he's fit. But it would help because you can just play a bit higher line. You can compress the field a little bit more. You can put pressure on their forwards and get turnover of ball and then break from there. So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, so Eric Bailly's not currently listed on Physio Room, but I think Physio Room are slipping because Phil Jones was the last detail was updated on November the 27th, where it was Phil is still out until probably after Christmas sometime.
They've just given up with Phil Jones. He's not even listed in the squad, is he? So
no, and actually we should talk about that because this is something that's happened since we last spoke, and I think it was bubbling up to the point at which we probably should have mentioned it last time we spoke. Another player who was left out of the Premier League squad, but clearly for a more planned reason, was Jesse Lingard, who has reunited with Davy Moyes, who I think sent him on loan that season, because it was Van Gaal that had him in the first team squad when he got injured. I think it was his Birmingham loan that was in the David Moyes era, but he definitely went on the pre-season tour with Moyes. Anyway, he's putting lots of stuff on social media saying up the irons, and I hope for his sake, I'm sure he's never gonna, well, not sure, it seems very unlikely to me that he'll ever return to the sort of best level that he found at United.
Seems unlikely.
Yeah, it seems like that's gone. But I really hope he can have like a decent Premier League career for the rest of his career, and he doesn't just sort of fade out. I really hope he can have an impact because there's a player there. There's always been a player there.
Yes, there is. It'd be interesting to see where he plays. So he should probably play in a kind of advanced midfield role. He might not though. He might end up out wide, but we'll see. He's got an opportunity. Hopefully he takes it. I don't know what kind of headspace he's in at the moment, whether he's in the right kind of frame of mind and got the right kind of space to go and really succeed. Hopefully for him, he has, and he goes and does well. So apparently he's still in Gareth Southgate's plans, so say the press. So maybe he'll force his way into the Euro 2020 squad.
Well, Southgate's definitely been loyal in general, tried to be loyal to his players, and he's massive for him in the 2018 World Cup. He was a nailed on starter in that World Cup, and I think probably rightly so in that sort of him and Dele Alli playing those advanced positions. I mean, you could argue that one of the reasons why England didn't win that World Cup was because, like Jesse Lingard, players of that level were guaranteed starters, but his football intellect has always been absolutely superb, and we've talked for years and years and years about how good his off the ball work is, not just in terms of like intensity, but he's just very smart about positioning, and Meulenstein made him watch loads of Iniesta videos, and he did learn a lot from those. He just didn't have the level to be that level as a player, and also clearly has had very substantial challenges in his personal life over the last couple of years, and had to endure the peak years of his Man United career with Jose Mourinho as the manager. And the thing about that, it makes me really angry. The opportunity cost of having Mourinho as a manager means that if you are not exactly the right kind of toxic alpha male for Mourinho's nonsense shtick to work on you, it'll just destroy your self-confidence. So no wonder...
See Ali Deli right now.
Exactly. And just a litany of players going back to Chelsea in the second go round at Chelsea. I think that's a really significant part of the Lingard story that doesn't get talked about, is just what damage. And that applies to Martial, it applies to Rashford, although Rashford kind of, I think probably survived it best in some ways, because whenever he talks about Mourinho, he's quite measured and says, well, basically it was quite useful to learn what that maniac thought from time to time. But yeah, anyway, long rambling way of saying Jesse Lingard scored the winner in an FA Cup final, and that is absolutely massive. That goal meant that Michael Carrick and Wayne Rooney got to lift the FA Cup trophy together, completing their set. It was a magic moment and a hell of a goal. And he seemed to score every time he played at Wembley at that period of his career. The Jesse Lingard National Stadium.
He did, and a lot of those goals were featured in the West Ham social media stuff. I thought they would colorise it a bit more so it looked purple, but yeah. McTominay, going back to Jose Mourinho, came out interview this week or last week, I can't remember when it was, praising Jose. Manager's Player of the Year.
Yeah, when we played Spurs, I don't think it was after the 6-1. It might have been the last time before that we played them. He tracked him down and ran up to him like an eager puppy dog. Obviously, Mourinho was instrumental in McTominay's career, and that's good.
Black mark on Scott's record there. Black mark. He's got to stop that. Anyway, good luck, Jesse Lingard. No other outgoings confirmed yet. I mean, I know they've been negotiating for Marcos Rojo to Boca Juniors, I think, and Romero potentially to MLS. MLS starts again not too long a time, and we'll see whether either of those happen. I mean, I guess it'll be about paying off the end of their contract, and I don't expect we'll see an incoming. No bid for Leo Messi. Buy him out of his €540 million contract or whatever it was.
€2.5 million a week worked out it was. That's a lot of money.
It's quite a lot. Would you get out of bed for that? I think I might get out of bed for that.
Just about, yeah. There a load of stuff going on with loans. So Tahith Chong's loan at Werder Bremen has been ended. I think Werder Bremen maybe changed manager, or at least that's the other loan that got affected, I think. Anyway, he's gone to Club Brugge on loan now, and James Garner, who was on loan somewhere, is now on loan somewhere else. Palestri is going.
Garner was
on
at, where was he? Was he at Brighton? No,
it wasn't a Premier League club. He was at Watford.
And
that's right. The Watford manager changed, and now he's gone somewhere else. Good luck.
The Watford manager changes every 2 weeks.
Yeah, but the new one didn't fancy James Garner. Didn't fancy a T. Clevs, Jay Garns midfield. Palestri, who I forgot all about, has gone on loan somewhere. Alaves. He's gone on loan to Alaves.
Yeah, apparently he had a whole host of clubs that were willing to give him a loan. I mean, he's got to, for it to be useful. I mean, there was an argument here that would it be better for his development to spend another few months in England before getting a loan, say, next season? And if he's going to go on loan, is he the kind of player that would thrive in the Championship? Having a look at him, I'd say probably not. Some burly cloggers kicking the of him every week.
Have you watched a Championship game lately?
No. I tend to avoid it.
I don't think they're allowed to do that anymore.
What did I see? I saw one. Why did I watch a Championship game not that long ago? Maybe it was the Derby County Rooney Championship game. I can't remember. Yeah, I did see one. There was a fair amount of aerial stuff, but yes, they weren't kicking each other all the time. Anyway, So if he's going to go on loan, it's not in England. Is the kind of comfort of Spanish language good for him? And then what size of club that he's going to get enough games? So Alaves is probably a good balance.
The Chong one's interesting because Werder Bremen felt like kind of a bit of a moonshot in a way. It was like, if that works out, that'd be massive if he's playing every week in the Bundesliga. But clearly, it's a big step down from Werder Bremen's Club Brugge. I mean, he'll experience winning a league because they're going to win the league this season.
Yeah, and hopefully he gets a lot of games. I mean, he's played 15 times for Werder Bremen. It's not bad, but it's not.
He's come off the bench. I think he's only 4 starts. I think I could be wrong about that. I just read this yesterday, so I'm quoting from memory here. But it's So it looks better than it's been. I think for Chung. I think that's all the United loan news that's fit to print. Jesse Lingard, we should say, has not been sold. He's gone on loan. What that means, I don't think that means it's particularly likely he's going to be in the United squad next season, but it does mean it's not all that likely, or certainly not nailed on, that he'll be in the West Ham squad. But he's clearly throwing himself into that in a big way.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when his contract runs to, but I mean, it's not up this summer anyway, so he's got a bit of time, and almost certainly Ed Woodward will give him a new 5-year contract before then anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, back to Southampton. That was a long detour. The last time we played Southampton, we got thoroughly outplayed and then smashed them to pieces like the slugs they are in the last few minutes of that game with a brilliant Eddie Cavani brace. He came on and completely changed the nature of that game, just attacked every ball in the 6-yard box, and United found a new level of intensity. I mean, I think it's going to be potentially a really big challenge, this game, but I've thought that a lot of times and then we've kind of been fine. But I do think that particularly those centre-backs being as vulnerable as they are to the kind of pressing that they're vulnerable to, the fact that Pogba is still trying to take on free players to get the ball out, and De Gea is still passing out from the back every single time, even when passing through the lines is really difficult. All of these things are definitely a worry, and like you said, they're not going to be leaving all their defenders 1v1 against some of the best 1v1 attackers in the league, as Leeds did. And Scott McTominay.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, I have mixed feelings about the repeated attempts that United tried to pass it out from the back. I don't just mean in open play, from goal kicks as well. So it can be frustrating when you do that, play out from the back and then get pressed and lose the ball, or end up having to turn around, go back and then thump it forward again. Sure, but if you thump it forward, you lose the ball, half the time anyway. That might not be accurate. I don't have the numbers on that, but yeah, you lose it further up the field. Sure,
yeah, exactly.
But that's that's the kind of thinking that drives you into percentage football, isn't it? If you're going to create chances and if you're going to create mistakes, it might as well be in their third of the field. Let's get it long, son.
Pomo, Charles, what's his name? Can't remember his name.
Yeah, Hughes.
Yeah, right. But the yes, you're absolutely right, of course. But there's something very emotionally difficult about watching. It's very difficult to be rational and measured. Like, well, 75% chance time this works, and whereas 50% of the time the other one works. But you're like, can you not knock it, son? Anyway.
Yes, especially when Maguire gets a nosebleed when someone's charging at him, for sure.
Yeah. Or De Gea does what he did against Sheffield United, for example, and passes it out into the space near the attacker. The one thing that, of all the rule changes this season, this does seem to be the one that has least benefited the attacking side. The fact that you can have players in the box from goal kicks just seems to have made those kind of short goal kicks more terrifying for some reason, because as soon as the keeper kicks it, the attackers start bearing down on the central defenders in the box. It's very nerve-wracking. I think it's just visually unsettling because we're not used to seeing it, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, it should be advantage to the better passing sides, and that's the kind of advantage we should want, I suppose,
Well, we should probably buy some different players then.
It kind of reminds me of schoolboy football when the keeper can't get it very far out of his box, so everyone pushes really far forward.
I wonder whether we'll see McFred for this one. I think it's not nailed on that we won't, let's say. I mean, whether Scott McTominay is recovered sufficiently. Arsenal poisoning another player with lasagna, is it? I see.
Yeah, that's right. No, that wouldn't be allowed, the bubbles and all that. So,
okay.
Bring your own food, haven't you?
Yeah, right.
Even to Euro games. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe yes. He might just want to. Again, we said before the Arsenal game that his go-to when in doubt is McFred, isn't it? So it feels like there's a level of doubt about this. Decent Southampton side, blows hot and cold for sure. But then it's one less attacker at home.
And what is he going to do with that attack? Because against Sheffield United, Greenwood, Rashford and Martial was incredibly ineffective together as a three. the option of Greenwood, Mason Greenwood, Martial and Marcus Rashford was really ineffective. Against Arsenal, although we definitely created more chances and better chances than them, it wasn't like it looked fluent and effective. And anyway, the plans changed after 36 minutes. So it wasn't, Pogba wide left, Marcus Rashford wide right, and Cavani through the middle for very long. Pogba dropped back into midfield. It's I just don't know exactly. I don't think Solskjaer knows his best 11 in inverted commas at the moment. Against Sheffield United, I thought that team was almost the perfect team to pick, with Matic and Pogba and Fernandes all in the middle, and how much progressive passing there is in that combination. But it wasn't able to get the job done. So, and do you really want that against a team that's going to be kind of ferociously, physically closing down the ball in midfield? I don't think you do you?
Yeah, it makes for an interesting blend anyway, these two teams. Got a thought on the score?
Well, I've talked myself into being terrified in the last 5 minutes. So
you're like, we're going to smash them.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, wait a minute. How are we going to get the ball into the final third? There will be more space available than there was against Sheffield United, and we can definitely take advantage of that space. So actually, if we can cope with the press and keep our heads and keep going, then there's no reason that United shouldn't win this game 2-1 with a scrappy last-minute penalty. Where's all the penalties, by the way? I was promised penalties.
Jurgen Klopp stole them from us.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp stole the title from us.
Do you know we're going to be 5-2 up? Ahmed Diallo coming on for it. Do you reckon he would Panenka it again?
I think at 5-2 he would, yeah. I wonder whether he's going to... Because, it's not like a player of his skill set wouldn't be really useful for the first team, but he still looks tiny, and he looked like he belonged at the level that he was playing at. It's not like you looked at it and going, what's he doing playing at this level, was it?
No, sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's likely to be where he spends almost all of his time for the remainder of the season.
Right. All right, well, what do you think the score's going to be?
I'm going to say 1-0 victory to United. Come on.
1-0. Remarkable. I guess we kept a clean sheet in that last game, didn't we? Against Nicola Pepe. Wow. Okay, that'll do.
Top player. Top player.
I mean, top price tag. A worse signing than Harry Maguire.
It's true.
Not a worse signing than Kepa Balaga, though, who is the worst football signing in the history of the game. I think it's fair to say. Anyway, talking of football teams that aren't United, Patreon backers, stay tuned. We're going to talk about football from this weekend. I've only watched 1 and a bit games.
Shocking.
But I'm sure Ed's watched tons. Everyone else, we will see you at the back end of next week after the Southampton game to preview whoever it is we're playing next weekend, because the games will not stop.
I think it's Everton. But yeah, we'll see you then. Bye now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.